Welcome everyone. What I would like to do is do a video tutorial on using Photoshop for creating a poster. One that uses text and includes a quote. This is a very specific assignment I have for a class, but the skills we're going to go over are skills for any kind of Photoshop design. We're going to talk a little bit about readability, working with layers, working with type, and finding ways to create nice, seamless sorts of integration of colors and other items. Here's an example of one demonstration I did for a class once where I have a quote, and you might notice these colors go pretty well together. And so that was done on purpose. So I want to show you how we do it. So the idea here is we're going to start with either a quote or an image, but we're going to find a way to make them go together. So I've included some resources that I am using for this. And basically one comes from the Wikimedia Commons featured pictures. What's nice about this is these get highlighted for favorites of images. They are very well done. They come in large sizes and a variety of sizes. So there's many categories that you can use. And so you can start going through here and looking for images you may want to use. Now, if you're just doing this for your own benefit, you're having fun, you're just playing around with it, then obviously it's kind of up to you what you do with the material. But if you were planning on actually submitting this for your own work, you were trying to display it as yours, you would need to make sure you understand what rights you do have and what rights you don't have. And that's one of the reasons why I sent you to this thing called Commons. Because Commons have the special licensing, and each picture will have its own unique licensing. So let's just click on one at random. We have this aquatic animal. I don't want to read it here. I'm not very good at Latin. Okay, so right away, there on any one of these, it'll have information about reusing. If I click on here, it's going to state reusing content outside of Wikimedia. And so it talks about what you can do as far as what rights you have and what rights you do not have. Now, if you want to use this on the web, click the use this file on the web, and right away it'll say how you are to attribute this in your image. And so you should make a disclaimer at the very bottom of your image. You should have this in here, and this will show you that basically you are attributing who it came from. So one of the things you should look at is you should find out what kind of licensing you have. Now, look at this. It says this image is in the public domain because it contains material that originally came from the US NOAA. Okay? So anything that's public domain, you are free to use, and you don't even have to cite it if you don't want to. However, not every image is in the public domain, so you just want to see. And usually, a lot of times, you just use this file, and you've got what the attribution is if you want to give credit. Now remember, it's public domain, so it even says right here, it's not legally required. So when you pick an image, do see what the legal requirements are so that you are on the up and up. Okay. So go around, search through some images. I like food and drink. It's a great source. If you want a historical quote, you might want to go to historical. Natural phenomenon has just gorgeous images. Objects, yes and no. It just depends on the object. So go search for one you like. I really like this picture right here. Let's say I want to use this for my quote. Obviously, I would need a quote that would go with it. And I would want to find out with what are the requirements. And it might require attaching full copy. Notice the attribution has more information to it. So I'm going to go back here, scroll down a little bit, and see what it says. It says I'm free to share. I'm free to remix. However, I have to make sure I say who it comes from, and I need to be willing to share with others. I'm totally fine with that. I share all of my videos with everyone, so I don't mind doing share alike. So I think I will go ahead and use this. So here's my image. Once you find your image, you want to copy it Actually, let's get a nice large size resolution. It's nice and big. I can right click on the large file, choose copy image. And now I want to open up Photoshop. Let me move it down to the window, do full size, and choose File New. And when I do a new file, I should see this that says Preset Custom. It should say Clipboard, actually. And there's nothing on Clipboard, so I think I had a problem copying that image. Let me try that again. Copy image. Let's see if I can do it now in Photoshop. File, new. It still says custom. So I'm having some copying problems here. Good question that someone asked. By the way, I had to change images because for whatever reason it wasn't letting me copy that. And I started not liking the image, but I see this one, and this is Canyon de Chelly. This is in Arizona. Beautiful picture. And I really want to do this one. So I changed my mind, and I'm going to try it. Someone asked how big. Well, it depends on what you're going to use it for. If you're going to do like a desktop that you're going to want to put on a computer, you might want to go large, like 1280 or larger. Now, it's for an assignment for me. I'm thinking, 798 is probably okay. We can do one a little bit larger if you like. I'll try this particular one. Let's see if I can copy it. And if that doesn't work, I'll just go a different route. File new. Good, it says clipboard, it likes it. Okay, once you have your new file, guys, if you copied it and you had that preset that said clipboard, see it says clipboard, that will be the right size for the image you copied. So I'm just going to go to edit and paste. Control V does the same. And now look, I have layer 1 on its own layer. And background is now, it's locked, it's white, doesn't really matter. We don't even need it anymore. We're going to treat this as the bottom layer. I'm just going to delete the background layer. Drag it to the trash can. It's gone. So we've got one layer. I need to get a quote. I need to highlight it. And so now I'm going to find a quote that has something to do with this image and proceed from there. Okay, guys, so the next step I do to look for a quote, I went to brainyquote.com to find quotes, and I did a search, and I'll show you the search I actually put in. I knew this was Canyon de Chelly, and I knew how to spell it, so I lucked out. I wrote the name of the canyon, and it came up with Ansel Adams. There's got to be a reason for that. He must have something in there. So I click here, and I'm reminded that Ansel Adams was a brilliant photographer, and he's got all these quotes about photographies. And so one of the things I'm going to do is look for one of his that seems to work. And I was just finding it. Where was it? There is one quote about photography. There's always two people in every picture, the photographer and the viewer. That would work. Photography is more than a medium. So I'm just going to pick one of these. I kind of like this. There's no rules for good photographs. There are only good photographs. So I'm going to use that one. I'm going to click it. I've got the quote. I have who stated it, and I'm going to use it. So I'm just going to right click and copy it. Notice I get the text. I get it as text. Now I'm going to go back to Photoshop. Now, in a good poster, guys, half of the battle is figuring out where to put your quote. A bad place to put it would be right over these horses. Another bad place might be, well, this could be a good place. It's right over here. But I'm thinking maybe in this space over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my text tool. It's the horizontal type tool. It's right here, the big T. I'm going to click it, and I'm going to adjust my settings up here. Now, the first thing you want to do is go large, and 48 might be about the right size. See what happens if I click it once? See how tall that is? If I were to paste that right now, I would see the size of that text. I could actually go a little smaller, probably. So I'm going to scale it back, and this is another one of those things that's hard to decide. The other thing is if you want to set the width, I recommend you click any other tool, go back to the type, and draw a box roughly the width of what you think the quote should be. Let go. Now, find a good font that matches the nature of what you're talking about. It needs to be readable. It should be pleasing to the eye. It might be something that should kind of go with the actual picture you have. So spend a little time picking the right font before you go ahead and paste it. Once you find a font, I'm just going to try the Century one. Get a color. Now, look at this, guys. You've got a really dark region of the image, okay, and then you've got a really light region. What I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight my quote using the light color, and I'm going to make my quote be a dark color, and I'm going to pull it right out of the image itself. So I click on this where it says select the text for color. I click it. Now I have an eyedropper. Now I could choose colors from within here, but they're going to be kind of ugly if I don't choose right. So watch what I do. Instead, I'm going to click a color right out of the image itself. And notice this isn't exactly black. It's right here in the region. So I'm just going to click OK, and I'm going to paste my quote inside. Now, I cannot see this right now, but I can highlight it while I have it so I can see roughly the size. Okay. So if that text is too small, you can arrange it here. You can type in a bigger value, 44 for example. If it's too big, you can scale it back. Try 36. Okay. So at this point, this might be about the right size I want. I may want to adjust the width a little bit. And then when I let go, you're going to see, or I click another text, I can see my quote layer, but I can't see my quote. If I hide my background picture, I can read it. Now, what I want to do, guys, is I want to actually highlight this quote. So I'm going to add one more layer. That layer has to go between the background and the text. So I click background layer 1. I click new layer. Here we go. I want to get a box, so I'm going to use a rectangular marquee. I'm going to hide my background so I can see where my quote is. I'm going to make a box larger than the quote. And now I've got a couple options here. Now notice this has a feather of 4, so that's going to give it a soft edge. Let's bring back my background layer. I'm going to click on this layer, and I'm going to get my paint bucket out. Choose the paint bucket. And I want to get a color from here. So the paint bucket's going to be whatever this color is down here, the foreground color. So if I click that, and then I go up here and click another color, I can click OK, paint bucket it in. And at that point now, I can read the quote, and I can see the image, but I can't see all the image details because this highlight box is kind of blocking part of it. So let me deselect that so I see there. And what I can do now is I just adjust the opacity to scale it back a little bit so we can still see some details of the image, yet still read our quote. And at this point, that's the essence of the assignment. And from here, you can do other things. You can apply filters to the layer down here. You can adjust the text. You can add other styles to it. You might want to take a look at this FX. And you got like drop shadow, for example. You can put a drop shadow on there. You can change the color to highlight it. So you can play around with some of these, but don't go too crazy on these. You want to keep it subtle. And when you are done, you can choose File, Save for Web and Devices, and you can export it, different formats, different sizes. So for my class, I want this to be no wider than 500 pixels for what you turn in for me, so I keep the file sizes down. But you can go larger if you want. You can make it 800 by 600, and you can just see what it looks like, the different sizes. When you're ready, you just click Save, give it a name, and you're good to go.